Okay, this is Editing Aliee, and Editing Aliee is going to be at the end of this video too because my camera did not record everything. So these are going to be the times where I'm talking about my fertility, and this is going to be the times where I'm talking about my weight loss journey. So if you don't want to hear about fertility issues or whatever, don't watch this portion of the video, and if you want to skip ahead to the weight loss journey portion, click here. Otherwise, if you just want to watch the fertility issue, this is the portion, this is where it's going to end. So I'll see you guys in a bit.
Hey everyone, it's Aliee Kat, and this video has been kind of a long time coming. I've been struggling a lot with my health, and not like bad, like I'm not like dying or anything, but just like in general, just struggling a lot with my health. I started the beginning of this year a Instagram Instagram, can't think, whatever, called The Ferocious Aliee Kat. I'll link it somewhere. And I haven't posted on it a lot lately because I have been struggling with my health. I did put a post, my last post that I put on there was a disclaimer about why I haven't posted, and it didn't go into detail, but I would talk about it in a video, and that is going to be this video. So for starters, besides like the known facts, I struggle with depression and anxiety. I also struggle with gastroparesis, which hasn't been as bad as it used to be. But I do get the occasional like upset stomach here and there. There are people out there that have it worse than me. I'm gonna go into a whole different video on that. My cat is playing with the tripod. I'm gonna go in a whole different video about that, but right now I just want to talk about like where I'm at. So going back to that, my gastroparesis has been under control. My depression has been pretty good. My anxiety has been a little here and there, but I think that's a lot to do with my hormonal issues right now. I also was working with somebody because I have really bad driving anxiety, that it got to the point where I couldn't drive anymore because I was getting like severely bad panic attacks that would be dangerous to not only myself but for anybody around me while I would be in control of the vehicle. It's just not a good thing. And so I've been working on that. I was working on that with a psychologist, but unfortunately, with where I was working with her, she ended up quitting, and she is not coming back. So I have to find somebody else, which isn't a big deal because my husband and I have been working on it. Which I gotta say, I love my husband so much. He is one of the biggest supports in my life besides my mom and my sister. But he's like, he roots for me. He is there for me no matter what. And I hope I am there for him as much as he is there for me, because I really appreciate what he does for me and how much he supports me. But anyways, so back in 2019, I'm going to start all the way back 2 years ago. 2 years, yeah, 2 years ago. 2019, actually, I'm going to go even further back when my husband and I got married. So 2017, my husband and I decided, after being engaged for like 4 years, that we were going to get married, and we were going to have this big huge wedding and whatnot. And then we're like, screw this, like, we're in love with each other, we want to commit to each other, we want to, you know, live happily with each other. Not saying you can't, but we believed in marriage was a commitment to living with each other for the rest of your life. Not saying you can't do that without being married, but I feel like with my religious aspect and how we grew up, that's how we feel. And I know a lot of countries and other religions are like that too. So yeah, anyways, we said, screw this, we'll just have like a small reception, and we'll just invite our parents and two of our friends, like his friend and my friend, to the courthouse wedding. So we got married at the courthouse, and we've been married, it's going to be 3 years this August on the 25th. And before that, we were like, well, you know, we told each other if we'd be married, we would like to try to have kids. And I I was at the time on Implanon. And the Implanon, if you don't know what that is, it's like a thing that's about this big. It's very flexible. It goes in your arm. That was my second one that I was on, and I actually took it out 6 months early because we decided that we wanted to try to have kids, and we knew that, you know, I had to regulate my period because I actually did not have a period for the longest time. So I was almost 15 years old when I first got put on birth control, and it was a double shot. And so I don't know if anyone's familiar with the double shot. It's a shot that you normally are supposed to get in your hips. They reverse sides, or a lot of people like do it in your arms, but I was told it was more effective to get them in your hips for some reason. I don't know why it's more effective, but that's just what I was told. So I always got mine in my hips. I'd go in every 3 months and get one in the hip and one on the other side, and yeah. So I was on that for, I want to say, until I was almost 18 years old. I ended up gaining a lot of weight from it. I didn't get a period at all, so I guess that was like a plus, but it's also not a plus anymore because of what I'm going through. I don't know if that has anything to do with this or not, but I also was having, when I, like, after, like, closer to, like, my 18th birthday, I was having issues with, like, cysts rupturing and stuff like that, and, like, I started getting spotting. So I want to say that I don't even know when, but I ended up switching to a birth control pill. Now, I do have stomach issues, and at this time we didn't know a lot about my stomach issues other than that I had IBS and I also had GERD. We didn't know that I had gastroparesis that time. Sorry, there was a lady walking by with her puppies, and they're cute. So at the time I didn't know I had gastroparesis. So I went on this birth control pill, and I was like sick to my stomach. If you've ever had morning sickness, it felt like that. I felt like I was having morning sickness, and I was like getting sick. At the time, I was actually taking my driver's ed course, and I missed 2 days of my driver's ed course because I was just getting sick. And then my mom's like, you know, you're sick. You're like waking up in the morning, getting sick. Like, this is not good for you. We need to switch you off of something else. So that's when I looked into like doing like the Mirena, or there was another one called something else that like sat inside your vagina. It was like a copper wire for like 3 years or whatnot. But unfortunately, when I went to, I did go to Planned Parenthood at the time because a lot of doctors don't, or I didn't want this sounds really bad, but my mom took me to Planned Parenthood so that I could get on birth control because at the time we didn't have good insurance, and so I got put on state insurance so that I could get birth control and whatnot at the time. And to be safe, and I feel like that is a good thing. Like, I know a lot of people think badly about Planned Parenthood, but I only went there to have safe sex. Anyways, when I went there, the nurse that worked there told me that I couldn't get the Mirena or the other one because there was a more likely chance of it falling out because I've never had a child or was never pregnant before, so it was hard for that to happen. So I going with the Implanon, which was like this big, and they put it in my arm, and I got that done there. And then when I got older, so let's say I was like 17 and a half at this time when I got the Implanon, 17, 18, 19, about 20 years old, I got that taken out, and then I got a new one replaced in my arm. And then I kept that in until 2017, so I was almost 22 at the time. So I got taken out with my OB at the time, and then we talked about, you know, like babies and whatnot, and just for the first couple months to use protection if we didn't want to get pregnant right away, which is what we did because we didn't want to get pregnant until after we were married. So after we got married, we still we stopped using protection and we were trying to get pregnant. Well, it was May again when I had to go back in for my physical, and I just broke down because I was like, it's been almost a year since like my last appointment. We haven't been pregnant. I'm not getting My periods are all messed up. I'm not getting a normal period. Like, what's going on? Like, is there something wrong with me? Well, the doctor who I had at the time did my physical. He said everything's fine. He's like, you know, what we're going to do so we can get your cycle back on track is we're going to put you on the NuvaRing, and you're only going to do it for 2 months, and then you're going to come back to me, and then you're going to do that for 2 months. You're going to try for 3 more months, and then if nothing happens, you're going to come back to me. So, that was 2018, right? No, I'm sorry, 2019. So it was a full year. Like, I don't want anyone to think that wasn't a year, Allie, you're not counting. No, it was a full. So 2017 was when I went in 2019, and that was not in May. May was when I went back to him. Okay, sorry. January is when I got my physical, did the NuvaRings and whatnot. Did not get pregnant. May went back, and we started talking about options, talking about, like, well, maybe it's because your husband's sperm count's low. Well, obviously his sperm count isn't low because I'm not ovulating. Like, I wasn't ovulating at all. I was taking ovulation tests, Clear Blue to be exact, because that's what I was told was a really good brand. Nothing was happening. And I was always getting a sad face, and that's something that you really don't want to see on any kind of test when you're trying to get pregnant. So let's see, we went back in May-ish, yeah, it would be May, and he put me on Clomid, and Clomid is a fertility pill that helps your body produce more eggs during ovulation month. Well, June when I took it the first time, I got so sick on this, and there were, like, bad side effects on it, like you would get, like, nausea, dizziness, mood swings, whatever, and I felt like I got all the symptoms because I was very moody. I was getting, like, bad, like, ovulation cramps because I was producing more, and it was, like, so, like, my gastroparesis pain that I get isn't compared to what I was getting. I was, like, in bed in pain because I was producing so many eggs in a month. I was so nauseous that, like, actually the first month that I was on it, I did, like, throw up, and I couldn't keep anything down for the first week. I think I lost, like, 5 pounds because of it, 5 or 10 pounds. Like, I mean, that's bad. No, I don't want to say 10, that's too much. Probably about 5 pounds. I didn't really keep track of it, but I did contact my doctor about it, and they said to just keep doing it as long as, like, if I'm, like, able, like, they said that week's gonna be horrible. And they said that if anything else changes, let them know. Well, after I was done taking the pills, because you have to take the pills from day 9, and then I think 5, it's 5 pills. And so I did that for the first 3 months. Well, the third, when it came to until you were pregnant, sorry. So when it came to the 3rd month, I got really upset. Like, I was really upset when I was on my last pack in August, and I was like, you know, if this doesn't work, I really don't want to go on another pill. I'm, like, giving up at this point. Well, September hits, and I don't have my period. I took a pregnancy test, and it was positive. I was actually crying, because my sister, no, it was October, sorry, when I was pregnant. I was crying because my sister was here, and her daughter was here, and they were going to be leaving for Texas. On top of that, in April of that year, my husband's uncle passed away, and then my grandpa passed away the day after. They were both unexpected heart attacks, which was very devastating for us. And then in August, my papa passed away in a horrible motorcycle accident. So that year was horrible for us, like, already. And when we got this pregnancy test positive, we were, like, super excited. We were so happy. But then I took off of work that whole summer because I was having issues with the pill. My boss at the time was really nice about it, and she knew that I was going through a rough time already that year. And on top of that, during the time that I was off, my papa passed away. And we had, like, issues, family stuff going on with that. So, so when I got this pregnancy test, I was so happy. I told my boss, I'm like, hey, Like, I'm just letting you know, I just got a positive pregnancy test, and I know I'm supposed to go back to work on Monday, but I just wanted to let you know. And I said, I don't really want to tell anyone because we were already having issues, so I didn't tell anyone. My boss knew, my mom knew, my husband's mom knew, and my sister knew because she was living with us at the time. Nobody else. Oh, and then I told my dad. We only told our parents, like nobody else knew. But then my husband's mom ended up telling all of his siblings, and he has a lot of siblings, so everybody knew in that household. Um, so when I went back to work that Monday, I don't know exactly what happened. Now, I was almost 8 weeks pregnant. My appointment would have been, I think, like a week and a half later, so I probably was like 7 weeks at the time. Not 100% sure. We didn't get an ACG test at that point, and I didn't get any ultrasound, so I don't know, like, what happened, like, how far along I was. But I was at work, and at the time I was a caregiver at a nursing home, and when I got there, we did our work. We told each other, like, what happened throughout the day, what not, blah, blah. Then I went to go help a resident, and I had to, like, physically help her, like, lift her to the toilet and back and whatnot by myself. I wasn't told I couldn't do any lifting or whatnot, but I feel like that shouldn't matter when you're that early on for lifting and whatnot, because a lot of people don't even know that they're pregnant, as far as I was at the time. And then we had an incident where a resident actually fell, and so all the caregivers, we were already short staffed at the time. The side of the building that I was working on usually is 3-person, and there was only one, and that was me until 4 o'clock, and then it was supposed to be somebody else coming in. And then the other side of the building usually has 3 as well, and they only had 2 because someone called in. Now, I went over to go help this lady. The manager was actually still there, so she stayed on my side. And then there's 2 other girls that helped with the whole situation of the lady falling, and so we had to do, like, incident reports, whatnot. Well, as we were going into the office, and I was showing one of the newer girls how to do an incident report on the computer, because we just transferred doing the computers, I just felt, like, really wet down in my legs. And I looked down, and I was just soaked. It was just blood everywhere, and I, like, froze. I started panicking, and if Olivia watches this video, I was so grateful for her for that day. She walked me to the bathroom, told the manager about it. They called the boss to let them know that they were sending me home and sending me to the emergency room, because I had a lot of blood. Like, my underwear and my pants were just, you couldn't even tell what color they were anymore. I drove myself to work, so I called my husband in the bathroom, because we had to keep our cell phones on us at the time, because it was technically like if we had an emergency, we didn't have enough landlines in the building, so if we had an emergency, we had to use our phone to call 911, or if we needed to get hold of somebody, we texted them. Like, we were allowed to keep our phones on us for this. I was in the bathroom crying, sitting, trying to clean myself up, didn't know what to do. Called my husband and said, you need to come get me. I think I'm having a miscarriage. There's a lot of blood. I sent him pictures. I was like, I need to go to the emergency room. I don't know what else to do. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was in tears. We get there. My husband picks me up. I call my mom. My mom was like the other person that I thought of right away. I'm like, Mom, I'm on my way to the emergency room. There's a lot of blood. My mom ended up meeting us at the emergency room. I walked in, checked myself in, and was standing. Like, I really didn't like how the situation was handled when I got there. I had blood all over my legs, and I showed up there, and I was like, they asked me, what are you in for? Like, I feel like when you show up and there's blood everywhere, they should put you in a room right away. I know, like, during COVID, like, stuff right now, there's not a lot of rooms open, but this was pre-COVID. I just really felt the situation wasn't handled. She told me, she took everything, she's like, okay, go have a seat. Yeah, I'm not gonna sit in your chair and ruin it because I'm all full of blood. Like, my mom was really upset when she showed him. She's like, why aren't you in a room? You're full of blood. Well, as my mom came in, the nurse called me back. So, I mean, I waited in the waiting room for like 10-15 minutes before I got called back. I was afraid to sit in their chair because they do like a pre-screening and then they take you to an actual room at this hospital anyways. And Um, they were worried that they were going to have to give me a blood transfusion, but I did not need one. My bleeding ended up subsiding, like maybe like a half hour later as I was there. Um, but I had to do ACG tests, I had to do an ultrasound, and I was there for a good 4 or 5 hours. So we didn't leave there until probably about 8, 9 o'clock at night. Um, and when we got the ACG tests, everything was fine. When I got my ultrasound done, they said they were like, we saw the egg yolk, everything's fine. They were like, oh, this could, like, we want you to rest for a little bit until you can go see your doctor in 8 weeks just to make sure everything's okay. So I was off of work until then, and then there was no blood, not until that Friday. When that Friday came, I ended up not bleeding as much. It was more like a period. But when, you know how you get like clots in your period, I got like, there was this thing about this big of tissue, and at that point I knew that I wasn't pregnant anymore. I was on the bathroom floor laying down crying. I had like the pad like next to me with the thing on it, I don't know what to call it, the tissue from the leftover child or baby, fetus, whatever you want to call it at that point. And so I basically had a full or I don't know what it's called. Is it a full miscarriage? It's not a miscarriage because that's when you have to go in and get everything sucked out because it's not all the way out. But I had a full pass-through miscarriage. I went to the hospital to get lab work done that night. I didn't go to the emergency room, I went to the actual hospital, got lab work done, saw the results, and they wanted me to get another one done, which I did. And I knew at that point, after seeing the test, because you can see your test results now online, seeing from my ER visit to this that I wasn't pregnant anymore. So that was very upsetting. I think my husband took it a lot harder because, you know, like, in the beginning, he cried a lot more than I did. I obviously cried when it happened and when it didn't, and then I felt like I had to console him, and I know that people are like, well, why do you have to feel that way? That's just the type of person I am. When people are upset, I go to them first, and I end up bottling my feelings up, and I need to, like, let them out. So I'm learning to do that, and I know that's really bad sometimes to do that, but that's just how I am. And so it took me a while to want to get pregnant again. Yes, we weren't using protection, but we also weren't doing anything for the first few months after the miscarriage because I was very depressed and anxious and upset. So then, fast forward to this past January. Now, my husband and I took all of 2020 off. Obviously, COVID was part of the issue, but we wanted to recover from this miscarriage that we had. And also, I lost my job in December because they're stupid. And so I didn't have a job until the end of February, which is where I am now. And then COVID happened, and we just decided, you know, we're gonna wait until next year to try to have a baby, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, like, by the summer, we'll go back and see if we can do more fertility. Well, January came, and I started not, like, I wasn't, like, thinking I was pregnant, because we weren't trying at that point. Like, we weren't trying at all. Like, yeah, we weren't using protection, but we weren't trying. And I was feeling really nauseous when I got home would come home from work, and I was getting, like, these dull headaches, and that's how I felt like when I knew I was pregnant the last time. And I'm like, there's something going on, and I'm like, I have to wait, like, a couple more days to take a pregnancy test. So I waited, took a pregnancy test, it was positive, and I was, like, in shock because I was like, I didn't get any help on this one. And I was really happy, and my husband knew, my mom knew, and that is it. Like, because of what happened last time, it was just my mom, my husband, and I. And I wanted my mom to know, because if I was at work, like, last time and had a miscarriage, then she can either take me to the hospital or my husband could take me to the hospital. Something like that happens again. I was in fear of something like that happening again. I also did tell my boss about it because I didn't want something like that happening at work, and I told the ladies that I worked with every day, which is only one or two people, so at work. So like no one knew about it, besides my boss and the two girls that I worked with. So I ended up, yeah, I was pregnant. When I found out I was pregnant, I don't know far along I was, but then that weekend, I started getting like like not a period, but I started like having like spotting, and I know that's normal during the beginning of some pregnancies, but I was also getting like super bad cramps, and it wasn't the like the cramping that you get from like your I can't think what it's called, your uterus expanding from having a baby, because I know what that I know partially what that feels like, but this was like really bad like period cramps. And this was Sunday I started feeling this, and I didn't have to go into work till Tuesday because Monday I have class, so I have Mondays off from work. And I was scheduled to work on Tuesday or Wednesday, I don't remember. But I contacted my doctor. I said, hey, I'm having like really bad cramps, like what should I do? Well, then they asked me like how bad I was bleeding, and I said not really that much, and I said but there's a lot of like cramping feeling. Well, then a couple hours later I started bleeding a lot, like not like just spotting, it was more like a full period type thing. And I was like, okay, now I'm bleeding a lot, I'm in more pain, I don't feel good. What do I do? So I called them back. They told me to call back if like there was any changes, and I did, and they told me you should go to the ER so we can evaluate you. And obviously this is during COVID, so this was kind of really hard. The hospital I went to was, they weren't allowing any visitors unless, like, they would let one visitor back there at a time if necessary. Well, they weren't letting it for my case because it's a miscarriage. It doesn't matter, I guess, in the world, what you emotionally are feeling or whatnot. But the nurse that I had at the time, when I went back there, I ended up having a horrible panic attack and was freaking out because obviously this is my second miscarriage. I don't want it to be a miscarriage. My husband isn't here to know what's going on. I'm hysterical. I'm not going to remember anything the doctor's saying, so I'm freaking out. And she gave me a hug, and she's like, do you have anybody in the waiting room or in the like out in the parking lot or whatever? I said, my husband is waiting in the parking lot. He said he's not going to leave until he knows that I'm, like, everything's okay or whatnot. And she said, do you want me to go get him? And I said, please. I'm like, I can't do this by myself. And I started crying, and she went and got him, and I was so grateful for that. Him and I were in the room together. We obviously had our mask on. We he went to the ultrasound with me, because we wanted to know what was going on, and I was hysterical and whatnot. Well, then the ultrasound came back, and they didn't see anything. So I'm trying not to get emotional about this. So we just assumed that it was a miscarriage. They wanted me to follow up with my doctor afterwards. Well, I was having different symptoms from my last miscarriage. I was just in a lot more pain. They wanted me to rest until I felt better, and until everything passed through. I ended up going back to the doctor the following
Okay,
Thursday.
so where I left off for my fertility portion of the video, I was talking about how I went to the doctor that following Thursday. So I was on bed rest until then. And the doctor basically ended up going through, she had this sheet of paper and she went through all this stuff, like, we're going to get down to the bottom why you're losing your pregnancies every time you get pregnant, and figure out if it, like, what is wrong, like, and all this stuff. So what we did was, I opt to getting, because she thinks I have ovulatory syndrome, and that's what it's sounding like now. I will put a definition of what ovulatory syndrome is around here, but it's the basics, like the layman's terms, is I'm not ovulating correctly, or my egg's not ovulating fully. So what we did to figure that out is I did blood tests. So I had to get my ACGs tested again to make sure I wasn't pregnant. I got my vitamin D, my thyroid, and my hemoglobin tested, and everything came back normal. That's like your normal, like everybody gets tested no matter what. Like they should be getting tested yearly for those three. Those came back normal except for my vitamin D. It was a little deficient. It wasn't deficient that I need to be on like a bunch of medicine for it, but I'm on a supplement, 2000 UIs, I don't remember, for vitamin D. And then I had to go get my day 2 blood test done, which tests your hormone. I believe it's estradiol, and I can't think of the other one. But the reason why I can't think of the other one is because that one came back normal. My estradiol was at 31, and now for people who do have like fertility or like PCOS or stuff like that, their estradiol levels are low or high, one of the two. Anyways, a normal estradiol level is 30 or above, and mine was at 31. So I'm like wondering if there's something going on. Now, I won't know any information other than what the nurse told me from that everything looked good besides my vitamin D, until I go to the doctor on June 14th, which today is June 1st. So yeah, April is when I made that video, and now it's June 1st, so that's been a couple of months. Because I'm dreading putting this video up. Like it just scares me. I don't know what other people, I don't know if I'm going to leave comments on the video. But if you do like have issues or are going through something similar and want to give me a peace of mind or something that helped you, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know. I'm afraid to like talk to some people about it because everybody's like, well, you're 26, you're still young. Well, if I'm 26, I'm having these issues, it's better that I know now than I do when I'm in my 30s and like I'm like, okay, why am I not having, like, why I've been trying for like 10 years, why have I not had kids? So yeah, what was I saying? I got my blood test done and everything came back normal except, according to the nurse, except my vitamin D level. And then I got my ultrasound done on the 10th of May, and I was told everything looked fine, everything was fine. I had like one cyst and it was like really small, that's nothing to worry about, on one of my ovaries. I think it was the right one, which kind of makes sense with why I get a little more pain in that area during my menstrual cycle. But other than that, it was just vitamin D deficiency. So the next steps is to either do more testing or for me to go figure out my ovulation cycle, like why, like if I'm not ovulating on the same day, because my menstrual cycle is weird. But the last couple of months it's been 28 days, so maybe it's going back to normal. I'm not sure. But yeah, that is what I'm going through right now. So this portion of the video is going to be about my weight loss journey. It's only been a month into it, so if you're thinking you're going to see like these big results from me, you're not. I can only see these results right now, but you won't be able to probably for like another couple months. But that's like a positive thing, I guess, if that I'm seeing the results. So I started off my weight loss journey in May, the beginning of May, and I started off with getting a nutritionist. Talk to her once a week, and we figure out like what's going on, whatever. So my goals with her were to eat breakfast with high protein, to eat more mindfully, and to have 7K steps a day. So I was really bad. I always skipped breakfast, which isn't always a bad thing. If you're a faster, it can be a good thing if you like to fast or whatever. But for me, I guess it wasn't, with how the results I am seeing, it was not a good way for me to lose weight, because I was I would get really hungry and I would just eat and eat. That was one of my issues that I had because of breakfast. And then after work, if I had like a rough day or whatever because I was not eating good, I would start craving like McDonald's or whatever, like some sort of fast food, because I didn't want to go home and cook meals. So that is where we like started correcting all that with my breakfast, and like I've been meal planning a lot more, and that was on my own doing, because I really want to see results, and I have been seeing results. Going on to eating more mindfully at night. My husband and I would not eat at the kitchen table because it's just him and I. We figured, why not eat from the TV? I mean, a lot of people probably do that. I grew up doing that. I also grew up eating at my table, but he grew up eating at his table, so it's totally different scenarios. But so we started eating at the table more often, and I noticed that I would be getting full a lot more, which is good. So I wasn't eating as much at dinner time, and then I started incorporating my high protein breakfast into a high protein lunch. So I started bringing egg bites to work to eat at lunchtime. This week I am starting to do like tuna or chicken breast with avocado. I'm going to mix that up instead of using mayo and eat that either on bread or with crackers. That was one thing she told me to do that I should do. I can also do like a turkey sandwich that has like a whole grain bread with a lot more meat, because I was only putting like 3 slices of meat, and she said to like double it so I could get more protein in there. So I've been trying to work on one meal at a time. And even with my snacks are more protein based. So I have like either a protein bar, getting the protein Lara bars, and they're actually really good with protein, but they're also like don't have that many ingredients in them, so they're really good. RX bars are really good. I personally don't like the RX bars. I don't know why I don't. So I'm sticking with the Lara bars right now until I can get myself into liking the RX bars. But that's something that I've been working on. Also eating a lot more like nuts. Like my husband found these Blue Diamond little like cans that are like different flavors of almonds, and they're so good. My favorite right now is the habanero barbecue. So that is something that I've been working on. I also have been trying to drink a lot more water, and that has been helping too. Yeah, I do have that soda, but I switched my regular like soda that I usually get into diet, and I also drink bubbly. And if I feel like I need that caffeine kick, I drink the caffeinated bubbly, which my favorite is the mango. I think it's mango passion fruit or something like that. It's so good. But then I stick to the blackberry if I don't want that caffeine kick. That's one's really good too. Yeah, so I'm gonna post some pictures of like what my food has looked like. I only took a few pictures, but I drink the same smoothie like every day, and like I've been eating the egg whites the last 3 weeks. This week I'm changing it up a little bit. But I will post more, try taking more photos of when I try different foods. That will hopefully help you want to try different foods. I also made a board on Pinterest of foods to try that are more healthier. So now I'm going to be posting graphs of like my weight loss, my eating, my steps, etc. Up here from my Fitness Pal, and I will talk to you guys in a little bit. Okay, so with my exercise, I've been trying to exercise 3 times a week. I got this app called BodBot or BotBod. Let me see. and it is BodBot, and it looks like this when you open it up. And there is a setting in here, so I have, this is the workout that I'm going to be doing today, and it's going to take me about 30-40 minutes to do this. And if you go into the settings, you can click on equipment right here, and you pick all the equipment that you have at home. So if you, like, this is on home, but if you go to the gym, you can click gym, and it will make out a workout for you based off of that. So I really like this app. My sister actually got me into this, and I have a scheduled. So I have scheduled that I work out Saturday and Sunday and Tuesdays for 30 to 40 minutes. And I really like that app. I also have been I've been wearing my Fitbit a lot so I can keep track of my my sleep, my heart rate, and my steps, as well as when I do any exercises, I can set that on here, so I can go onto my Fitbit, and it can show like the estimation of how many calories that I burned and whatnot. So I really feel like I'm doing a good job. As you saw, I lost almost 5 pounds in 1 month, and I am very proud of myself. I did not really think I was going to lose that much in the first time around. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be trying to do an update every month for my weight loss journey and like setbacks or goals that I've met and etc. So I will see you guys later. Ta-ta.